السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، نحمده ونسبحه ونقدسه، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وترحم على محمد وآل محمد كأفضل ما صليت وسلمت وباركت وترحمت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. وصل اللهم وسلم على خلفاء نبيك وأوصيائه وأهل بيته وأحبته، علي أمير المؤمنين وقائد الغر المحجلين، وعلى البضعة الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، وعلى سبطي نبي الرحمة وسيدي شباب أهل الجنة الحسن والحسين عليهما السلام، وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي العسكري وابنه الخلف الإمام المهدي المنتظر عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل مخرجه. عباد الله، أوصيكم وأوصي نفسي بتقوى الله ولزوم أمره. We read in chapter number 5, Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 5. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والمحصنات من المؤمنات والمحصنات من الذين أوتوا الكتاب من قبلكم إذا آتيتموهن أجورهن محصنين غير مسافحين ولا متخذي أخدان. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Let me discuss a sensitive subject, a subject that we deal with it in the midst of our communities in the West, be it in Europe or North America or elsewhere. And that is the phenomena or the case of Muslims to non-Muslim marriages among our youth and the new generation. What do we say about it? What is the Islamic opinion about one of our youth, one of your children, be it male or female, marrying a partner, a friend who is not Muslim, or she's not Muslim? We live in one society today. There is no ideological segregation. There is no even ethnic segregation. People live together. Our kids go to schools in Canada, in America, in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, elsewhere, and they get mixed with other religions, other faiths, other communities, other minorities. They study together. They dine together. Sometimes they live together. They work together. They live in the same cities, towns, neighborhoods. So, after a period of time, they are a human being. They have hearts, they have emotions, they have emotional needs. So, they fall in love with their friends, with their co-workers, with their classmates probably. because they find commonality in each other. They find humanity and love and care with each other. So they come back to their parents, breaking this good news to their parents that I want to marry my girlfriend. She's not Muslim. She's American, she's English, she's Scottish, she's South African, she's Australian, Canadian, she's black, she's white, she's red, she's Mexican. And all of a sudden, the family gets shocked. And they tell him, no, impossible. You have the choice, either us or your partner. You can't be in the same family with us. We can't take her as a family member. And also, some families, they threaten their children who are intending to marry their non-Muslim partners. They threaten them with disavowment, with excommunication. So we are not going to attend your wedding. We are not going to approve you. We are not going to accept you. And you are not part of our family. And in some cases, I have seen some fathers disinherit their children. They tell them you have no right in the inheritance because your partner is not a Muslim. And the young generation, they come to us. Both come to us, to religious scholars, religious leaders, the imams in their communities, both the parents and the young ones who are intending to get married. And they share this dilemma with us. So what is the answer? The new generation asks, why my parents have a problem with my partner? I love her. She's nice, she's humble, she's caring, we are in love. And you know how many of these scenarios I've been through when parents come to me, or sometimes their children come to me. I've seen many of these stories and scenarios. A typical example of that is parents travel from somewhere, from some Muslim countries, into Europe, into Canada, America, and they have children here. Kids are born here, raised here, educated here. This is their home. This is their land. This is their future. They haven't been, many of them, they have not even been back to their original countries. All what they know is Canada. All what they know is America. All what they know is Germany or the UK or France or other countries. This is their home. This is their land. When you ask them, what are you? He says, I'm French. I'm Canadian. I'm American. But at the time of marriage, some parents, not all, some parents insist that their sons and daughters have to marry someone from back home, from Egypt, from Lebanon, from Iraq, from Syria, from Yemen, from India, from Pakistan. They insist that you must marry someone, preferably your first cousin, from back home, and you bring her here. Or you bring him here, in case if she's a girl. To bring her first cousin from his village to this new country. Otherwise, you can't marry someone different, someone who is considered an outsider from a different culture. Now, what is the solution? Before I say the solution, my friends, let me extend and share with you two important premises. Number one, although marriage and love is a relationship between two individuals, but somehow the fallout, the repercussions of this relationship, which is supposed to be between two individuals, would affect the whole family. It would extend and involve the rest of the family. Therefore, in any marriage, in any love relationship that would end in marriage and family, there cannot be a unilateral understanding. It has to be a bilateral understanding. And what I mean by bilateral is that the kids, they have to consult with their parents. Not that they only decide among themselves, he loves his girlfriend, and then they decide to get married without telling their parents. It has to be bilateral decision. It cannot be as a shock or a surprise to the parents. So this is step number one. My advice to the young generation: if you want to marry someone else, any person, be it from your culture or an outsider, be it from your religion or other religions, you have to involve your parents. You have to tell them. You have to prepare them. Prep your parents for this. Don't make it as a surprise, because these surprises are going to shock your parents and the results are not going to be good. So parents somehow have to be involved in their children's marriages. Now, do I mean arranged marriages? No. This is different from arranged marriages. I disagree with arranged marriages. It did work 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 40 years ago, back home, not in America. It did work, and sometimes it didn't. It ended in a catastrophe. But nowadays, I'm against the idea of arranged marriages. That the mother goes and she shops for her daughter, for her son, and then he's the last one to know that he's marrying his cousin or second cousin or someone, a friend or someone like that. Arranged marriages do not work. Give them the space, give them the freedom, give them the respect to get to know each other, to meet each other, to speak to each other, to experience each other. In the past, we did not have social media. Nowadays, we have social media. It plays a major role into our life and our marriages. In the past, we did not have that high rate of mental illnesses, depressions, anxieties. Nowadays, it's on the rise. So you cannot know the person, you cannot discover your partner unless you study him, research him or her very well. Very well. Don't make a decision, marriage decision, in 3 days or 3 weeks or even 3 months. You need to take your time. You need to study, you need to examine, you need to discover your partner so you don't regret it after that. You need to make a deep and thorough and extensive research about this partner before you say yes to him or to her. Take your time. Do not depend on your mother's approval or your father's taste. We respect our parents, but our parents are different from us. They were born and raised in a culture, and we are born and raised, or the kids are born and raised in a different culture, different perceptions, different understandings, different life. Everything is different nowadays. Our ancestors in India, in Pakistan, in Iraq, in Syria, in Egypt, in Yemen, and all these countries, when they get to the age of 18 and 20 or 22, they have no choice other than the first cousin, other than the next door neighbor. That's the only choice they had. Nowadays, it's different. People are marrying people from China, are marrying people from India. People from South Africa are marrying people from Germany. White people are marrying black people. Muslims are marrying non-Muslims. So, different society, different conditions, different circumstances. And we have to adapt to that. This is a reality. We cannot cling to our history and our culture and say, this is the way my grandfather did it, I'm going to do the same. It's wrong. Besides, who says your grandfather and my grandfather were always right? Who said that? Who said so? The second premise, my friends, it's correct that our first cousins and family members, we share DNA with them, we share the flesh and blood with them, we share the culture, the language, the food with them. But these things are not a guarantee for a stable and a prosperous marriage. Sometimes you may understand a stranger, an outsider, better than the way you understand your own first cousin. It happens. It happens. So, being first cousin, being from the same culture, from the same village, from the same country, from the same nationality, does not always guarantee the success and the prosperity of the marriage. I've seen, my friends, in this country, in America, someone brings his or her cousin or a friend from a country, from their original country. Let's say, I don't want to mention countries, in the Middle East, Indian subcontinent, wherever. They bring them to America. They spend money on lawyers to apply for them for the visa, immigration visa, based on marriage, and then the green card, and then when they even pay them the money for their airline ticket to come to this country. And then they send them to language school. They help them to get driver's license. They help them to get a job. They help them to familiarize them with the American culture. They support them financially, maybe for the first, second, third, fourth, fifth year in their marriage. And then all of a sudden, when this guy or the lady, it could be the male or the female, get their green card and they settle, they decide to divorce their partners who brought them here to America, into this country, or to Canada, or to Europe. Because she's not my match. She has been Americanized, so-called Americanized. So she's not my match. And this is a mistake. Don't do that. It might work. It did work with some people who are open-minded, who are honest, who are loyal. It did work. I know many of my friends who brought women, wives from abroad, or many of the girls here who brought husbands from abroad. They imported them. And it did work. But in many cases, it does not work too. It doesn't work, because marriage does not mean that because my family knows his family back home, then our life is going to be good here. The marriage is going to work. It's not guaranteed. Maybe your parents are good friends, your mothers are good friends, but you are not going to be good friends. So be careful before you apply, because there is a clash of cultures. all of us, my friends, all of us, when we came to America and Canada and Europe, when we moved to the West, we changed. We have changed. When it comes to culture, we have changed. When it comes to customs, we have changed. When it comes to traditions, many of us have changed. Many of us learned some good things in these countries, which we did not know them before. And also many of us, unfortunately, learned bad things in these countries too. So we have changed. Now, for those who are worried that their kids are marrying a non-Muslim, let me say this to you. If we can solve the first problem, then we are not going to have any headaches. The first problem, if we can establish love, respect, trust among those two individuals, if true love does exist, trust does exist, honesty does exist, respect, mutual respect does exist between these two individuals, then the second step, which is embracing Islam, converting to Islam, accepting Islam, would not be a problem, would not be an obstacle. I've seen many, the vast majority of non-Muslim men and women in the West, when I ask them, do you have a problem accepting Islam? The answer is immediately, no, I don't. I don't. When Islam is being presented to them, practical Islam, not just theoretical Islam, not just to tell her my book is the best book, and my mosque is the best mosque, and my religion is the best religion, and my prophet is the best prophet. You have to show her. You have to show him. Show him. Show him tolerance. Show him civility. Show him and her honesty. Show them the beauty of Islam, the organization of Islam, the cleanliness of Islam, the discipline of Islam, the love, the compassion, the mercy of Islam. Then they would not have any problem in accepting your religion. Because after all, my friends, Islam was extended from Arabia through manners, through akhlaq. Islam came to Mecca 1400 years ago. But now Islam is in every village, every corner of the world, through akhlaq, through manners. And marriage is one of the most important means of spreading Islam, extending Islam to other nations, to other cultures. It is through marriage, because marriage is the most honest and true and authentic institution that God has created. Love, nothing better than love. Mutual love between two hearts, two human beings. When they love each other, they respect each other. They trust each other. They believe each other. So don't worry that someone else coming into my family, she could be this, she could be that. She could be better than us. To be honest with you, I say from my experience, I have seen, I would not say all converts, but many of them, when they came into Islam, they became more committed and more faithful than those who were born Muslims. Why? Because they discovered the beauty of Islam. They did not inherit it, they discovered it. And when you discover the beauty of something, you embrace it wholeheartedly, with love, with conviction, with sacrifice. I know some couples, one of them used to be Muslim, born Muslim, the other was not a Muslim, a convert. And now, after a few years, the convert is practicing Islam better than the one who is born Muslim. So we should not have a nightmare about your son, your daughter, marrying someone from a different culture or different religion. Maybe God wants your son and your daughter to be a source of guidance for others, So don't worry. It all depends on the character, my friends. If the character of that person is good, then no worries. That person most likely is going to accept Islam. And of course, it depends on the character of your children. Because your children, if they do not have enough credibility, they would not be the right candidate to invite others to Islam. Not only they are not going to invite them to Islam, they're going to lose their own faith too. But if we raise our children good, we teach them the tenets, the rightful tenets of Islam, that Islam is not just prayers and fasting. The definition of Islam is honesty, is a truth, is justice, is to be true human being, is not to wrong any person in your life, is not to hurt anyone in your life, is to submit to the will of God, is not to be arrogant, is not to be racist. These are the important tenets. It's about equality, it's about love, it's about service. These are the qualities of Islam. These are the basic tenets of Islam. So when you instill these values in your kids, they're going to attract like-minded people. And therefore you don't worry about your son or your daughter marrying someone from a different religion. Now, let me conclude with one question. A juristic question, fiqhi question, as far as Islamic law is concerned. A Muslim male can marry a non-Muslim female on a temporary basis, not a permanent one, according to most jurists. This is not my opinion. This is the opinion of the fuqaha, the jurists. A Muslim male can marry a non-Muslim female on a temporary basis. But if he wants to establish a family and raise children, then this non-Muslim female should accept Islam. Same thing with a non-Muslim male also. If a Muslim lady intends to marry a non-Muslim male, then he should be invited to Islam. He should accept Islam. This is what the jurists say. And the journey of Islam is not impossible. It might be difficult, but it's not impossible. And it all depends on how you present your Islam, your religion, your faith to others. May Allah protect you and protect your families and your kids and all those who are in love with others and they are facing obstacles. I pray for all of you that inshallah you find peace and love and sense of family with your partners. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات وعجل في فرج إمامنا صاحب العصر والزمان وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد والسلام عليكم ورحمة